How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sunday, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. Well, it's Thursday on the show, and my streak has ended. As, in fact, I was traveling yesterday, and there was not a monumental shift in WWE's business. But there was some changes. For example, Matt Riddle is no longer on the SummerSlam card. He will be replaced, most likely, it'll be Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins. That's not official yet, but that is the expected match. That, of course, could change. But we'll talk about that, and also the interesting way that WWE played off this story. Matt Riddle is not injured. They did an angle on Monday Night Raw where he got his head stomped into the ring steps, and so they are claiming that he has some preposterous injury that Mike explained yesterday. I can't remember. His proboscis was something or other. But anyway, they're moving that to the Clash at the Castle, and so we'll talk about Seth Rollins' reaction, Triple H's reaction publicly, et cetera, et cetera. We've also got last night's AEW Dynamite, which I don't know if you saw that show or not, but that show was awesome. That was an awesome show. A great opener, a great main event, a lot of good matches, some great angles. Probably the best Dynamite in I don't even know how long. One of the better episodes in the history of the show. So we'll talk about that. We got a big weekend coming up. Ric Flair's last match. SummerSlam. New Japan. We have got a UFC pay-per-view. And probably more than I am forgetting. But we'll go up down the lineup for the weekend. We've got NXT ratings, AEW heading to Canada, and plenty more. If you want to text us here today, 425-780-7566 is the phone number. That is 425-780-7566. Bryan at WrestlingObserver.com, at Bryan Alvarez on Twitter. Back in a moment, Observer Live.
going to put up an image of a person you've never seen before. And that is because they are composed of two Impact wrestlers that are either currently in the company or have been in the company in the past. And you basically have to try to guess the two people.
I might be terrible at this, but I'm ready, yeah.
Let's do it. All right, first one up. Who are the two wrestlers in this photo?
Oh my goodness. Kurt Angle.
Correct, that's one of them.
Just the suit gave him away. Oh my goodness, this beard.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. I have returned today. You're welcome, everybody. Here
what does that mean?
Well, I know that when you did that NXT report yesterday,
yeah,
I believe that you must have glossed over a segment that I wish I could have devoted an hour to. The Kiana James segment. Remember that?
An hour for that? I would have spent my hour on Wendy Chu and Tiffany Stratton.
No.
You like Alexander. You know why? Because you grew up with the WWF and you didn't grow up with WCW and the NWA, so Alexandra York is new to you. And
no, it's not Alexandra York.
No, Alexandra York.
No,
but no, she's doing a PowerPoint presentation. Is
know.
Drew Gulak
different.
Her muse?
Listen, Drew Gulak was doing the stuff as well, and it was all right. But, man, her burial of Nikita Lyons and all the things that she disliked about her and her disgusted comments under her breath, I was dying during that segment. I am the biggest fan in history of this Kiana James.
You don't like groupie mothers, is what you're saying?
I'd be her manager. That's how much I love her. But anyway, we got to talk about important stuff here.
Well,
we'll
you know
get back
what?
to that later.
Honestly, you would think she's the biggest baby face for a lot of people now because every time they run down Nikita Lyons, a piece of clothing comes off of her in the next photograph they show.
Yeah, and Kiana James is disgusted. She's walking around without these clothes on. Okay, listen, we got a lot coming up this weekend. We'll get to Dynamite here in a moment, but SummerSlam is this weekend, and as noted yesterday, Rollins... there was going to be a Rollins-Riddle match, and Riddle was removed from the show due to, quote, a brachial plexus injury. I didn't even know he had a brachial plexus. I've never injured mine. But anyway, he's off the show, and so Seth Rollins, at this point, does not have an opponent. And Seth Rollins on social media today, here's what Seth Rollins wrote, okay? For anyone who purchased a ticket to SummerSlam, hoping to see me in action, I apologize. I did everything I could over the last 6 months to earn my spot on this show, but some things are out of my control. Thank you for always singing my song, They'll Hear You Someday. And then Hunter responds with, I hear ya. So anyway, for those of you that haven't been watching WWE lately, Seth Rollins is a heel. He's a disgusting, despicable person. And in storyline, he attacked his SummerSlam opponent on Sunday. He destroyed him. He gave him a curb stomp. He set up the corner of the steel steps and gave Riddle a curb stomp onto the edge corner of the steel steps and injured his bronchial plexus or whatever. And now he injured the guy so badly that in storyline, the guy can't wrestle at SummerSlam. And Seth is the victim. I deserved to be on this show. I worked so hard. Fans, if you bought your tickets, I'm sorry. And then the funniest part is Triple H, I figured it was supposed to be like a baby face. He's like, I hear you. We'll make sure you got something on this show, brother. So anyway... that is an odd turn of events for this whole post-Vince McMahon era.
I kind of like oblivious Seth Rollins. I do. I really, really do.
Is that you or is that me? Hey, is that
all of the chicanery taking place outside? No, that's me.
No, you're definitely a robot right now. Disconnect and reconnect. Your internet had an issue. Okay, we'll get rid of Mike for a second. He'll be back in a minute. Okay, AEW finally heading to Canada. The company announced during Wednesday's Dynamite that they will be making their debut in Toronto on Wednesday, October 12 for AEW Dynamite, followed by AEW Rampage on October 13th. The show will be held at the Coca-Cola Coliseum with an estimated capacity of around 10,000. Tickets go on sale Friday, August 26th at 10 a.m. Eastern. Dave Meltzer yesterday on Observer Radio went on for a while about the first venue in Toronto only being 10,000 fans. And, quite frankly, they should have run a larger building. But if you can't get the building you want and you're going to run a building, then they may as well get the building. If they can return and run a much larger building with a stacked card, I think everything's going to be good. They'll probably, by the way, that estimated capacity, when you add in the ring and the set and everything like that, it's going to be about 7,000. So they absolutely should have run a significantly larger building. But I do think that if all goes well, they can come back a second time and do a much larger building. But if you're in Toronto, you will finally get your chance to see AEW October 12th for Dynamite and October 13th for Rampage. Which is interesting. They're doing Dynamite on Wednesday and Rampage on Thursday. So, that's the story. You back there, Mike?
275 American dollars every single month for Xfinity Business Internet.
Yep, could have told you. Get away from that Xfinity. So, aside from SummerSlam this weekend, a lot of other shows as well, including Ric Flair's last match. SummerSlam is Saturday.
I heard of that.
Ric Flair's last match is Sunday. Ric Flair's lastmatch.com has all the details. As part of StarCast Weekend, they've got the roast of Ric Flair on Friday night, July 29th. Saturday, there's panels with Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Horseman Reunion, Bret Hart talking SummerSlam 92, former Paige, Foley, Nash, Hardy, and more. And then we've got autographs, pictures, convention. Friday, it's Black Label Pro and GCW, which I think has the Nick Wayne Takeshita match, by the way, Friday for GCW.
Show's pretty awesome.
And New Japan's on Saturday. Ric Flair's last match is on Sunday. If you're in the Nashville area, it will be the Nashville Municipal Auditorium. Tickets are on sale. $39 will get you in to see the final match ever of Ric Flair, as well as matches from NWA, MLW, AAA, Impact, New Japan, Ring of Honor, AEW, and more. It's actually a hell of a card if you take a look at it. And Ric Flair did an interview, and he mentioned that he was training one day, and Charlotte was there, his daughter. And Charlotte said that her father wanted to do a dive from the top rope to the outside during his final match, but she put a stop to it. A lot of our men and women in all companies miss those all the time, Charlotte said of the move. I was like, nope, not needed, not necessary. Wasn't necessary in your prime, isn't necessary now, so no. During Flair's workout that day, his trainer and upcoming opponent, Jay Lethal, ran him through a blow-up drill similar to what the trainers at the WWE Performance Center use to test an athlete's conditioning. The 73-year-old, who has a pacemaker, I might add, reportedly ran through the drill with double the reps and executed it flawlessly. That was very much a Rocky moment, seeing my dad like that, pushing so hard, Charlotte said. To do what he was doing and know the wind that it takes and conditioning and him going at it, I was just like blown away. It was mind over matter. Now, I know a lot of people are going to listen to that and go, well, that's all BS. But I actually believe this because Charlotte is acknowledging that her father wanted to do something that she considered crazy, which is coming off the top rope in his last match. And she immediately put the ixnay on that. But she's claiming that she was there and saw him go through this blow-up drill twice. So, one way or the other, I think this guy's in pretty good shape right now, especially all things considered.
Yeah, he was 5% use of his heart. He was basically dead on that table. And, I mean, amazing. It really is amazing he's alive, let alone doing the things that he's doing. It really, really is. But just one change here, not a change, but the Black Label Pro show is Takeshita and Nick Wayne. The Game Changer show is Nick Wayne and Alex Zane. So
Holy smokes, what a weekend for Nick.
The incredible year of Nick Wayne continues.
And man, if Buddy Wayne knew that Nick was on the card for Ric Flair's last match. Back in a moment, everybody. Observer Live.
Not James Storm, maybe? I don't know.
No, but it is. You're close with the beard, though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Gunner?
No. Oh, that's a close one, too. Okay, I'm going to give you the answer. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
The other person that we were looking for was Matt Cardona.
Yes. The very, very thick beard. I should have known.
Here we go. Who are the two wrestlers in this photo?
Well, that's PCO.
Correct.
For sure. And, oh my goodness, the goatee should be the dead giveaway, but the eyes should throw me off so much.
The eyes are, I actually feel like I see the second person in the eyes. The color of the eyes especially. A little bit in the nose.
Jeez. I'm terrible at this. I can't even guess.
All right, here we go. I'll give you the answer. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Okay. The second person was Rhino.
Oh, yes.
You
right.
see it now, right?
Yes, automatically. That's what I said. I'm just going to be bad at this. Jeez.
What two women are in this photo?
Jesus. Deanna?
Deanna, correct. That's one of them.
Yeah, the eyes were a dead giveaway. Oh, my goodness. I mean, I'm trying to guess what the hair could be. We need Jeopardy music in the background.
I know, right? I'm like,
I mean, Taryn Terrell?
No, but you were kind of close. The answer we were looking for was Taya Valkyrie.
Oh.
What two people are in this photo?
AJ Styles. Is it AJ Styles?
Yes, yeah? That's correct.
Okay, because it could have been Hornswoggle. Oh my goodness. It's just like a haggard AJ Styles. I'm really bad at this. It's the nose for sure, and the eyes that are supposed to give this away. Is that me?
Yes.
Oh, that's brutal. Oh, at least I got one.
That's why I was dying in the background.
Whoa.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. Take a quick look at this Dynamite show here. I thought this show was awesome. I'll do the quick rundown. We can talk details here in a moment. But if you did not see it, I would go out of your way to watch this Dynamite. The opener was Jon Moxley and Roosh. And this freaking match was awesome. And I thought the match would be pretty good because Jon Moxley is incapable of having a bad match these days. But, Roosh, he sometimes sometimes doesn't want to sell, sometimes, But, man, these guys are two peas in a pod. They were perfect opponents for each other. And, man, they went in there and they just pummeled each other. And they had a couple of good spots at the end where, like, Andrade tried to interfere, but but Moxley still kicked out. And then finally, he went for his kick. He missed it. Moxley hit a Death Rider, kicked out of that, and then went for the rear naked and the Bulldog choke. And Roosh went out. This match absolutely ruled. And then afterwards, Chris Jericho came out with the Jericho Appreciation Society, including Anna J.A.S., as she is calling herself, who got to speak a little bit. And Jericho has challenged Moxley to an interim title match on the show in 2 weeks. And Moxley accepted, but said, I don't want this BS sports entertainment Jericho with 1,000 trademarks. I want the guy from the Super J Cup. Those tapes I traded that I ordered for the back of magazines. I want the Lionheart Chris Jericho. It's a great promo. This opening segment from start to finish was great. They announced the AEW World Trios titles. There will be a tournament. The new champions will be crowned at All Out. And already on the show, they were teasing that the Young Bucks will be getting a partner for this 6-man tag team tournament. So, in fact, as I mentioned everybody a couple of weeks ago, you're not getting the Young Bucks winning the tag titles back to do that match with FTR. That's all done and over with. And they're going to be moving on here to the 6-man titles. We had Ricky Starks versus Danhausen. Ricky Starks almost squashes him. Danhausen got one spot where Ricky Starks ran into the buckle and sold his neck, but then Ricky spears him, pins him, and then he issues another open challenge. He promises he will stay there for it this week. Out comes Hook, and the place goes crazy. They go about 3 minutes. Hook beats him with the Taz Mission, the Red Rum. Place absolutely lost it when Hook won this title. And Starks is all sad, but he gives Hook a fist bump. Hook leaves. They go to commercial and come back. Starks is in the ring holding his neck. He cuts his promo about all he's done for the FTW title, and no one else did it, and no one believed in him, and it's just the most fiery babyface promo. And suddenly Hobbs lays him out from behind with a lariat, beats him up, leaves him for dead with a spinebuster. This segment, from start to finish, was awesome. We got a title change. We got Hook winning his first title. We got the Ricky Starks babyface turn. We got the heel turn for Hobbs. Everything about this was a total home run. We have the Acclaim hyping up a match with the Gun Club. Sammy Guevara beat Dante Martin. It was a fun match. They didn't have a lot of time, but they did all sorts of high flying, and Dante tried the double springboard, missed. Guevara then hit a double springboard cutter and pinned him, hit the GTH. And then they were setting him up for the 6:30 when Sky Blue, who I totally forgot about, and if you saw the show, you could probably figure out why. She did virtually nothing when she accompanied Dante to ringside. She tries to make the save. Anna Jay runs down. Eddie Kingston Ortiz and Ruby Soho make the save. So it's fun action. We had some segments setting up matches for Rampage on Friday. I'll see if I can get Fauntleroy in here today. We'll see if that works. Then Jungle Boy comes out for a promo. He cuts the best promo of his life, where he basically said, I don't know why this Christian was so mad that I threw him out of the Battle Royal. It was a bonus for one match. Like, you've been in this business forever. You should have money. Or maybe you needed that money because of your divorce. And the crowd goes, what? And then Jungle Boy winks and goes like this to Christian's ex-wife. And so then, Christian gets on the big screen as Jungle Boy's talking about having to bury his own father. He's practically in tears. And Christian does his promo trying to get Luchasaurus to turn on him, saying, I would have made you a star. Instead, you're this guy's lapdog. And they go back and forth, and Christian says, you know what? I don't need to insult your dead father anymore, because pretty soon you're going to be cozying up next to him. I know all your secrets, and I'm going to prey on your weaknesses. So, man, they're going all in on this Jungle Boy versus Christian segment here. And Jungle Boy was great, and I presume they're going to hold it off for another month and do a pay-per-view match, but that was great. We had the Young Bucks backstage, and Brandon Cutler tells them about the Trios titles. They don't want him as a partner, but, they stumble into the Hangman. And they're all awkward and nervous, and Matt's about to say, we've been wanting to talk to you for a while, when up comes the Dark Order to wish Hangman a happy birthday. And it's all awkward, and the Bucks are, we'll talk about it later, and they wander off. So, who will be the partner of the Young Bucks? They have not announced it yet. But Tony Khan, for months and months and months and months and months, said, I am not bringing back the six-man, or I'm not debuting the six-man titles until Kenny Omega can come back. The fact that they've announced the trios titles, the fact that the finals are at All Out, tells me, and I'm not reporting this because I don't know, but putting 2 and 2 together, my guess is Kenny Omega's back at any time. So I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know who he's going to team with. I mean, Hangman's been on the phone with somebody of late. So it'll be interesting to see how they set this up. They did announce that the Undisputed Elite are back together on TV next week. Led a lot of people thinking Adam Cole's cleared. He is not cleared. He's there to do an appearance. And I don't know what the situation is with Kyle O'Reilly either. But they're all going to be on TV. But that does not mean that everybody is cleared. We had Swerve Strickland beating Tony Nese and Mark Sterling when he pinned Sterling. And then they did an angle where Josh Woods beat up Keith Lee. So it looks like Josh Woods and Tony Nese versus Swerve and Keith Lee for the tag titles is coming up here. Darby Allin's going to be facing Brody King in a coffin match. I'm sure he'll get his win back there. Thunder Rosa, Miyu Yamashita. It was a little bumpy there at the beginning, but overall I thought this was a pretty good match. And I thought Thunder Rosa looked better here than she has in a while. She did a lot more lucha, and she did a lot more technical wrestling. And I think that she's better doing that than just your traditional American pro wrestling style. So I thought this was a pretty good match. She got the win. Fire Thunder Driver retained her title. And apparently this person was there live, said it was shaky live. It was shaky on TV too. But overall, I thought it ended up all right. Next week, Dynamite. Undisputed Elite return. Thunderstorm versus Dr. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter in a tag team match. Can Britt and Jamie get only the second win ever together as a team? And Christian Cage versus Matt Hardy. And then, August 10th, AEW Quake by the Lake is what they're calling it. Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho for the interim title. Then the main event, my God, this match. Daniel Garcia and Bryan Danielson had just the best match. Danielson just beat the hell out of this guy. He pummeled him. And then finally he comes off the top with a drop kick and he sells his brain. Because he's coming off they didn't announce a concussion, but it was abundantly clear watching the show he's coming off a concussion. And I know some people didn't like it because, you're doing a storyline built around concussions. But I mean, the fact of the matter is people come back from injuries of every conceivable body part, and they work it into the story of the match. And he decided he was going to work his brain injury into the story of this match. And he sells his head. He gets DDT'd on the outside. But finally, he's able to make a big comeback. But a hand comes out from under the ring. It distracts Danielson long enough that he turns around and gets pile driven onto his head again. Daniel Garcia puts him in his sharpshooter, and he sits back, and Danielson fights, and the place is going crazy. And Bryan Danielson passes out. Daniel Garcia beats Bryan Danielson via referee stoppage. The biggest win of Garcia's career. The fans, their reaction of just shock, it was pretty much incredible. This is from a guy that in WWE, all he did was lose to people. But they protect him enough here that this came off as a massive win for Daniel Garcia. Monumental finish here. And then the Jericho Appreciation Society celebrated afterwards. So excellent show top to bottom. One of the best Dynamites in God only knows how long.
I concur wholeheartedly. I mean, I really, with the exception, and look, I know their fans are going to love it, and I know what it all builds up to, and I know what they mean. The Young Bucks, the whole thing with Hangman Page, where it's like a parody of like a sitcom of everybody getting back together again. I know it's going to work, and in some ways I get a kick out of it, but if that's to me the lamest thing on the show for the most part, I mean, how great is that? Moxley and Roosh were made for each other. There needs to be a DraftKings over-under on when Moxley's going to blade. The Hook Stark's Hobbs segment was perfect. Anna Jay with Jericho is going to benefit like Sammy Guevara did. So there were so many good things that took place. Great show.
Talk more about this after the break. Send me your feedback. 425-780-7566. Bryan at WrestlingObserver.com. Back in a moment. Observer Live.
So yeah, I mean, since day one, kind of, since the New Japan AEW relationship was kind of on ice, once the elite guys kind of had exited New Japan, and there was kind of a worry of like how things were going to go forward and how they're going to move forward. And our president at the time kind of didn't really see the potential in maybe working with AEW. We already had partners in ROH and CMLL. So, like maybe they were thinking like, well, let's see how this AEW thing turns out before jumping into it, so we don't offend our partners. And, obviously those guys had left ROH too. So like it was a very messy, complicated situation. So now, jumping forward to, I would say about a year and a half ago, when Kenny called me and had, pitched the idea of kind of opening the doors a little bit. Obviously Moxley was still kind of working with New Japan, and Jericho was as well. But the Kenny and the Bucks were obviously a pivotal, important part of New Japan prior to AEW. And so, with that, and they're EVPs, so, they hold quite a bit of power. So not wanting to just forget about them completely, we had to kind of like open the relationship, and Kenny kind of opened that, and said, hey, I have this idea of working, Kenta coming into AEW and working with Moxley since they already had a storyline. And that's kind of where everything started. And, going forward, I've kind of always been like in between AEW and New Japan since that day. And so it just continued on when we started talking about this, this Forbidden Door show and what it could be and possibly be. Then I just went back and forth between AEW and New Japan and tried to be sensible and try to be the one that to kind of communicate how everybody, what the ideas were, but also like sentiment and just kind of like what, overall what the show needed, whether it be like, hey, we need more of this, or we need more of this, or hey, let's not forget about like American fans like this, or, Japanese fans, we need to cater to them this way, kind of like really trying to break that down. Well, I've been working with Tony a lot, ever since the relationship opened up. So that's kind of where it started, and really communicating with Tony and all the things that you've seen that, people showing up on AEW television and AEW stars coming to New Japan Strong. That's all been, Tony and I going back and forth. So, definitely built a really solid relationship between New Japan and AEW, where I know Tony has said this, where like now I could, truly say that both companies have trust in each other and confidence in the relationship. So that's really been the most important thing in all this is building that.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Before we go back to Dynamite here, I got to mention something. So, old man Vince is out. Triple H is the new Vince McMahon. But obviously he doesn't run the entire company. You've got Stephanie and you've got Nick Khan and everything like that. And there's going to be changes, as we've mentioned. There will be slow changes. There will be changes you'll see immediately, like, the announcers being more laid back. And we'll see what changes happen at SummerSlam and afterwards. But here's my question. They're in the middle of WWE tryouts today. And as I'm sure you guys have heard, there was a decree that came down, no more independent talent. They just want athletes, and they got all these NIL deals and everything like that. And I predicted that very, very shortly they would be opening it up to independent talent again. I said this months ago because Vince always, the thing with Vince is he's all about jacked up bodies, and you know what Vince was all about. But at the end of the day, he didn't like guys that couldn't work. And, they bring up these guys that have great physiques, and then he'd try and do something with them, but they sucked. And then that's the end of them. And then he'd go to the next guy or whatever, and they sucked, and he got rid of them. So at the end of the day, even though people have this idea that Vince was more about everything except the actual wrestling, he did want some quality wrestling on his shows. I mean, if you're going to have wrestling, you got to have something. So anyway, I knew that when they just went into no more indie wrestlers, we're going to all create them from scratch. We're going to try and fast track them to the main roster. I just knew. Everyone's going to be up too early. He's going to get irritated because they can't work the way he wants them to. So I knew that eventually this would change. Now that Hunter's in, how quickly is this going to change? Because I was told these tryouts that they've had. And by the way, when I saw that Lash Legend was working there as a guest coach.
Think Ivy Nile's a little more qualified?
I almost fainted. So anyway,
I was told Kiana James.
I was told, and I'm not reporting that they're going to go back to indie guys immediately, but I was pretty much told by people that were there at the tryouts that, dude, we're going to be going back to indie guys pretty soon because this crop apparently did not impress for the most part. I think there were a couple that impressed, but in general, it was like...
Any crop, how can it? You can find great athletes. You're not going to find somebody who is TV ready, which is what they want. They want needles from haystacks, and I get that you want to make a star fast, but you have the system to do it. It just might take a year or two. If you're not willing to do that, and you really want to have people that in 90 days are going to be TV ready, and then in 90 more days look like they could be prospects for the main roster, I mean, you are always going to have a churn and burn. They are going to have to go back to the indies at some point because, again, you can have a lot of amateurs, but once in a while, it's okay to have a pro.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the word is that much of what Lash was helping coach was, the basic drills, how to do a roll, how to do this or that, and she can do that stuff. So it's not like she was trying to teach them how to work.
Well, it's like the Ivy.
But I did see the. I was like, what?
Well, if you think about it, Ivy Nile and the Creed brothers being there doesn't make really any sense either because they are literal babies into this business. And what are they going to teach? Obviously, they can do some of the training because Ivy Nile is obviously, what is it called with the CrossFit and the whatnot. So two great amateur wrestlers out of Duke, I can see how they can have some value. So I understand why Lash Legend is there. And for people, that's what they want too. So they do need a liaison, I think, for some of these people because they're coming from football, they're coming from track, they're coming from basketball, they're not coming from a wrestling background. So to somebody like a Lash Legend, it actually is not a bad helping hand in situations like this. Now, I just want to know if anybody out there listening is going to spend the money and is going to go Friday to the last day of this thing to see all of these people in action.
Oh, that's right. This is open to the public, that part, right?
Yes, they one day of that and I'm sure it's the show off time for everybody. That's
what am I doing that day? It's not going to work. All right, I got a couple of text messages here, a lot of them actually, and emails, most all about AEW. Tim says, one of the best Dynamites of the year was an episode that heavily focused on the future of the company. Ricky Starks, Hook, Dante, Sammy, Jungle Boy, Daniel Garcia. It got people invested, and it is a winning formula. By the way...
Yes?
I don't like repeating my material, but too bad. Do you remember a couple of days ago when I was talking about Austin Theory, and I said, bro, this guy's not ready to be the champion? And I pointed out that whenever people complain, because, listen, most of you listening to this right now are very intelligent people, okay? But sometimes I hear really stupid things from people who I like to think are not actual regular listeners. But the one I heard after the Austin Theory was, all you guys do is complain about wanting young guys. Bro, I will speak slowly and clearly for you. Okay? The issue is that he doesn't need to be the champion. When we complain that we don't want a bunch of 45-year-olds I've been watching on TV for the last 25 years, and we'd like to see some new names and faces. You know what that means? It means we want to see some new names and faces. It doesn't mean that Austin Theory needs to all of a sudden beat Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns in the last man standing match and become the undisputed Universal Champion, holding all of the main belts in the company. Dynamite last night. Ricky Starks, not a champion. Hook is a champion. He won it from Ricky Starks. Dante, not a champion. Sammy, not a champion. Jungle Boy, not a champion. Daniel Garcia, not a champion. Are any of those guys not over? If you watch the show, they're all over. The issue is not, we need to take a young person and make them the champion before they're ready. The issue is, let's see some young guys getting pushed. And all of those young guys that I mentioned are getting pushes on AEW, and they don't need to be the champion right now. They just need to be elevated and made stars. So if you want to elevate Austin Theory, if you want to elevate him towards the main event, if you want him working TV main events and the occasion, great. He doesn't need to go from 0 to 60 in order to do what we've been asking them to do, which is push younger talent.
Ricky Starks lost.
Don't make me sweat up here in this loft. I'll die.
Lost last night and became a bigger star because of it. Now, I'm a big Ricky Starks fan. The moment I saw him in the NWA, I mean, it was like he was so much bigger than that room. And then he got a chance to be bigger than that room. And he has taken advantage of it, even by playing a background role. His facial expressions when he's in the ring, how he sells, the animation that he has. He's a star. Period, point blank. How big of a star he'll be, I don't know. But as long as his body holds up, he is going to be in the wrestling business for a long time because he is just so damn entertaining. And when you have a promo like that, even when your body breaks down, it's not like he's a massive guy. You know, he's not going to overshadow somebody that he could manage later on. Like, the sky is somewhat, almost the limit for Ricky Starks. And Powerhouse Hobbs turning on him. Look at everything that was perfect about that segment, right? Danhausen now does not have to be on TV again for 6 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever you'd want to do. You got the most out of Danhausen. He goes in with Ricky. You get the ring entrance. He's squashed. Nobody's less over because of it. He's Danhausen. He rolls back out of the ring. You make the challenge. Everybody's been wanting Hook. The young guy who you've been building up, somebody that was dropped into your hands. You never thought he'd get over like he did so quick. By eating a bag of chips and having hair like that, Action Bronson theme, everything's worked. You haven't messed it up. He gets the win, gets his dad titles back with his dad on commentary. And then Powerhouse Hobbs coming back from break after that promo Ricky Starks cuts to make sure that everyone knows if anybody was booing Team Taz, if anybody thought these were still bad guys, they were certainly not. And Powerhouse Hobbs goes and lays out Ricky Starks in the same way that a lot of people thought Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland were going to do to each other all through the buildup of all of that. I'm not saying it was like the perfect segment, but it's pretty damn airtight. I'll let Lance and other people who have been in the business, shoot their darts at it and see where it could have been better and maybe could have been fresher. But I thought that was great. And Jungle Boy and Christian might be the most petty feud I've ever seen with two dudes. And it's great. And I know they're going to have the match sooner or later. But that was the best Jungle Boy microphone performance you've seen. And if you can get another 4 weeks with this, and it may be too long to do it, but to me, you can get 4 more weeks out of this. If they continue to build this thing right, I'm not saying it's feud of the year, but in a very short time, it's going to be one of my favorite feuds in AEW history. All the stuff with Christian and Jurassic Express leading into it, it's fine. It served its purpose. It did what it needed to do. But man, how Christian, his response, the promos, Jungle Boy coming back and being so solid, and I mean, by far his best performance on the microphone since AEW's opened up. It was a winner of a show last night. Miyu Yamashita. And then I'll shut up.
Hold on.
Good.
All right. Well, I just want to mention it because
I just have one more thing to say.
All right, go for it.
Is just as I'm a women's wrestling fan in Japan, but I'm not a huge one like my co-host Adam Summers is, and like a lot of people listening are. There were a handful of people I wanted to see come to the States in the last couple of years. Saray was one of them. Chihiro Hashimoto, her opponent, and Diana was one of them. And we've seen what Saray has done. Rina Yamashita I wanted to see come over, and I've seen her work for GCW, and I think that's great. Different style, but great. Yuka Sakazaki, Hikaru Shida, and now Miyu Yamashita coming over to the States, like, I'm fine. Those 5 people were the ones that I kind of wanted to see in the last couple of years come over, and because of AEW, it was a lot easier for some. But Yamashita coming over, she is one of the best women's wrestlers over there, and I think the more people see her, again, the match with Thunder Rosa in Japan may have been a little bit better, but I know both of them can still have better matches, and Yamashita can have a match with anybody.
Going back to the Lawson Theory here. So somebody mentioned Jungle Boy just been a champion.
Boy,
yeah, he was a tag team champion. Yeah, I am.
Man.
He was a tag team champion. Darby was the TNT champion, and Sammy was the TNT champion. Bro, you could put the U.S. title on Theory. You could put the tag team titles on Theory. Guy needs to work his way up and find some other guys that can win a U.S. title or an Intercontinental title or a tag team title. And when the time is right, they move up. None of those names I mentioned have ever been world champion yet. Because even though they've been pushed, they're over, they're getting more over, they're winning secondary titles. It's not time for them to win the world title yet.
Levels.
Damn it. Back in a moment, Observer Live.
Bandido, man. That guy has a look. He has a character. He has a persona. Man, he can go in the ring. I was in there a little bit in the ring with him in AAA, Mexico, Monterrey. Another great wrestler too. ¿Cómo se llama? Vikingo.
Of course.
Hijo de Vikingo. Oh man, he beat me he beat me well for the AAA title, but it was a great like scramble. It was like so many people. Jay Lethal, Bobby Fish was there, Bandido, Vikingo. It's great. It was a great high flying action and hard hitting too. So that's one guy I right away say from off bat, like Bandido, man.
Just a reminder, if you're a subscriber to WrestlingObserver.com, tonight, the Bryan and Vinny Show, Vinny and I will have 90 minutes to talk about AEW and NXT. Sometimes people are listening to Observer Radio or this show, and they go, I can't believe they didn't talk about... Well, we have 90 minutes on Thursday to discuss two shows. So we will get into...
Oh, man, you're going to go... That gives you ample time to go over the G1 standings.
It gives me ample time to talk about Kiana James burying Nikita Lyons in the segment of the year on NXT 2.0.
No.
Bro, you know who else I'm going to rave about tonight?
Who?
Andre Chase.
Oh,
dude,
my God.
That guy's over, dude.
The Garvin Stomp. The Chase U Garvin Stomp is so... I hope... Dude, I know how you can get it over. I know how you can actually force it in, even if Vince was there. If Randy Orton came back, because he's the only one who does the Garvin Stomp, and fans hijacked the show with Chase U, please let that happen.
Dude,
I want to see him on the main roster.
Or Tuesday night was the night. Actually, it was last night because I watched it last night. That was the night that I turned babyface on Chase U. Andre Chase and Chase U is a great act.
Belt
and that
up
stomp,
Harlem Bravado.
Dude, that stomp will get over on the main roster.
Dude.
Because there's no Vince to go, I don't get it. Why is he wrestling in a sweater? Why is he so skinny?
I know what they probably won't do it, but with the response he gets, you know what I want to see? I want to see Carmelo and I want to see Chase. I would love to actually see that for the North American
they
title.
all have
that
a chance
place would go
now.
Bananas.
Everybody in NXT has a chance now because the old guy's gone. Have I mentioned I'm bullish? We'll talk more about it tonight on the Bryan and Vinny Show. Sign up today at WrestlingObserver.com, everybody. 13,000 archived podcasts. 13,000. Not 1,300. 13,000. And new ones every day. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Wrestling Observer Live.